Hi, welcome. In this video, I'm going to discuss the issue of motivating a dog to do certain things. And this ties into this whole idea about learning theory. And the problems, that when you incorporate this idea of learning into the equation and you already have a relationship problem, a dog has a high level of control in the relationship, how it is that everything falls to pieces. So right away, just understand when you're trying to get a dog to do something, and here's the thing, here's the part of the picture problem, is the dog may it may look absolutely fantastic, as you're applying this, giving the dog treats or making an association through reward, something the dog really, trying to motivate the dog, trying to use a motivating agent, to get the dog to do that certain thing. It could be picking up an object or whatever it is. It could be part of service dog training. But here's the thing. Again, when I talk about the sequence I go through and why it is, say, the first two phases of training, it's all about right relationship. It's all about speaking the right language through the method, through the relational method that's going to advocate, training as a relational changing process, which means that it's about getting the relationship right, which again, advocating switching control over to the owner, because what it does, it brings the owner into focus, through what the methodology advocates, and then the context of everything changes, including using motivating agents. But here's the problem: if you don't get the relationship right and you're kind of confused about the training process, you're thinking, well, I can advocate the training process because right away you got behavioral problems. I can advocate the training process as some sort of learning-based exercise, and you start to work within that, that narrative. Just understand that it's going to look a certain way and not be, because it's important to get the relationship right first. So when you get this issue again, so now focusing on getting the actual relationship part of things right, so once you get the sequence right, then you still are dealing with, you again, as you're kind of moving up and you're, the dog, you're fading in better, then you're going to start to use motivating agents, and typically I stay totally away from food, don't get into food, because food, what it does is it once a dog has control in the relationship, and you use certain motivating agents, such as food, for a dog that has gained a certain level of control, and then you move into this level of learning and trying to get the dog, and then you pull out the food, just understand that it will create a type of flashback situation where it will remind the dog, thinking the dog is gaining control again. Just understand that's amazing. And even petting, doing a lot of petting in that, you have to really be careful. When you see me doing the service dog training, I'm using verbal praise, I'm sticking strictly to verbal praise as my motivator, because again, you have to be very aware. It's a fine dance, so to speak, when you start to work off of getting a dog to do certain things, and depending on where the dog has been, the level of control the dog has had in the relationship, you have to really make sure that you're advocating how you're doing that sequence, or that process of learning, getting the dog to do certain things. You want to kind of keep it more even on the tail end of, making sure you're still getting the dog advocating control through the methodology. So there's some blending. You have to really make sure you're blending it right, kind of back and forth. So you just don't want to just get all caught up in motivation, petting, all those things, because it will throw things completely off. Even though in the process you might, the dog might appear to be highly motivated, which the dog will be, and do things that look spectacular. But then what happens is, out in the real world, everything, you lose focus again, and then you're saying, well, what's happening? I mean, in the training environment, I'm rewarding the dog, things are looking really good, because again, it's understanding where the relationship is coming from, okay, where it came from, and then the association, okay, through that owner. So as a trainer, right, then trying to mirror that back up to that owner, and that owner in the what represents in the past, okay, the past relationship to the dog has gained a lot of control through that owner, okay, and then you're advocating this type of feel good, high motivation, reward based, petting, treats, all these different things. It's going to create a problem, okay, because it's not going to line up, because that dog is going to associate that to control, okay. So it's really a very fine dance, okay, when you're doing this stuff, because you have to always emphasize, for it could be months and months and months, okay, you got to always keep leadership, keyed up. You have to emphasize advocating control through the method. That has to take priority. And then when you're doing the learning part of it, which I'm doing now with, say, Coco, you'll see me how I'm doing that. Walking a fine line, a fine dance, okay, making sure that I'm getting Coco to do certain things, but I'm not getting too caught up in that whole reward based. I want to be able to really keep that tempered back, because she is, because here's the thing, she is motivated to want to do certain things. But it switches very quickly over to control issues, okay? So you have to really make sure that so let's maintain the process, extending the process out, to emphasize continue advocating relationship change for a longer period of time, while still incorporating some learning into it using motivation, but sticking to verbal praise, okay? Just really be careful with this stuff. So I just want to put it out there that, but again, you can get this issue about motivation when a dog, if you're doing it and the dog seems to not want to be motivated anymore, or its motivation is thrown off, even though you're saying, you know what, I got a highly motivated dog here, what's going on? Well, what can happen is, because of how you're using the leashes, how you're interacting, the dog knows that you're advocating you being in control, whereas the dog would do certain things with the dog being fully in control, because again, you got a relationship problem on your hands. And because of how you're interacting, it throws everything off. The dog is going to, because the dog's saying, you know what, I ain't going to do this stuff. I want full control, or I ain't going to do it. Okay? Just like a selfish child, okay? Having a fit. So just understand, that's an indication that you got a relationship problem too, and the dog is suddenly, because of how you're interacting with the dog in a very specific way, it's not that you're doing anything unreasonable at all. It's very reasonable, but very unreasonable to a dog that has a high level of control in the relationship, okay? It's going to throw their motivation off, because they're motivated by being in control. So when you look at a motivating agent or motivation, understand control itself becomes a motivator, okay? So it's all about understand the relationship side of things, okay? This can be very tricky stuff, honestly, for those who are looking, because again, you may get a glimpse of really spectacular response, okay, and then you're completely thrown off, because then you go into another situation and there's no motivation, it's gone. Well, it's because you got a relationship problem, and you have to emphasize the proper process to fix the relationship for the long haul, okay? That's got to be emphasized. And then the consistency of the dog performing a certain task will be there after you get the relationship right, you're fated in the right way. And then, then the dog's going to do it, because the focus is on, the desire is going to be on doing certain things as a follower, okay? But that has to be something that you have to work on. That has to be a very intentional type of thing. And so you want to really be careful when you incorporate this whole learning narrative in. If you emphasize that, or you allow that to take the priority, then what happens is the relationship doesn't take the priority. You're faded out. Dog appears to be highly motivated, but then but the dog is still in full control, or has a level of control that's such that it's going to throw everything off. You're not going to get consistency. So anyway, just something to think about. It's very, like I said, I encourage you to watch my videos. You'll see me doing it through the service dog training process. I talk about it. So, but again, it's a lot of it's experience and just really understanding how these things, connect together. So thanks for watching.